Hello and welcome to Aquarium Dilemmas. I'm your host. I'm ScienceGal Aquatics. I'm Kerri, and this is my co-host,
Jesse, and welcome.
Yes, welcome to the show today. I'm excited for this topic. I don't really know where it's going to go, but I'm excited to talk about our journey with the very few monster fish that we have kept. We are by no means experts, but we've kept a couple monster fish here and there, and this is just kind of our experience, our journey. It's a completely different experience than keeping a fish room full of guppies. So yeah, I'm excited to chat about it.
Well, and I think a lot of people go to the store looking at a fish and not doing their research, which is a mistake that we did.
Oh, I still do. I'll go to the fish store and fall in love with a fish, and it'd be the first time I've ever seen it, but I want to keep it, and so I'm doing some last-minute Googling in the fish room or fish store aisle trying to figure it out, and do we recommend that? No. But are we guilty of it? Yes.
Absolutely we are.
And monster fish is my biggest impulse buy yet.
And this happened a long time ago, and it's a great journey.
Well, before we even get started, really, what's your definition of a monster fish? Because there's a lot of different definitions. What would you consider a monster fish to even begin with? And then we'll talk about what we've kept.
Well, number one, thanks for tuning in. Number two, a monster fish in my mind now is anything that can outgrow everything and is normally housed in an aquarium, like an actual show, aquarium show. It's housed at a Bass Pro or somewhere there where they have 10,000 gallon tanks.
Yeah, those are definitely 100% monster fish. My definition is because there's all kinds of fish at the fish store that through the years, I had no idea how big they truly got. So just in simplified terms, I classify monster fish as something that's at the bare minimum might be okay with 100 gallons, but chances are 100 gallons is kind of your starting point because it's going to outgrow a 55, a 75, a 90 quickly. So just if you run across the fish at the fish store and you're shopping and it's going to outgrow your 75, or just the easier to get your hands on aquariums, like the standard, you can go to the fish store and pick up a 55 gallon pretty easily.
Yeah, not a custom order aquarium.
Yeah, you can go, and sometimes, it's not all the time, but usually we can find a 75 gallon. And if we do see something above that, it's really like it's more cubed versus long. And from my experience, the monster fish that I've kept, they appreciate some depth, I guess, but it's more the swimming, like the length, that's more important. So if it's going to outgrow an aquarium that you can just go quickly by, chances are I start to think of it as a monster fish.
And I think that's a really good point because...
But of course, like anything...
That's a great point because a normal hobbyist or the first-time hobbyist, you're only going to see what you see at the stores or...
When they're little, too. You don't normally...
And you're going to get the... You know you can always pick up a 75. We see 75s regular, 55s regular. Even right at the 95s, the 100s, you see them pretty often. But once you get past that scale, that's a very, very good talking point there because those, now you're diving into the realm of how do you even get it in your house?
Yeah, because... Okay, before we get started, we have kept currently, we still keep a Silver Arowana. We've kept a largemouth bass, and I consider my koi's, I don't necessarily classify them as monster fish because they're not, but they have the capability of outgrowing a large tank too. So they're like maybe not monster fish, but they're large fish. So in our experience, it's a Silver Arowana.
Well, how big were the koi when you got them?
I'll get there, but that's what I've personally have experienced keeping. But I've gone to the fish store and I've attempted to keep a couple different various sharks. I think I always mispronounce it, an iridescent shark. And I fell in love with it, but they're always on the small side. If we go to the fish store, we're not going to see a full-grown Silver Arowana, and maybe that would have changed my mind if I see it full size, or at least a lot bigger than fitting in a 10-gallon tank when you're shopping. So, and there's numerous different monster fish out there that I haven't even been introduced to. I've seen many new different types of monster fish when we've traveled and gone to Aquashella that I've completely fell in love with, but seeing them not even full grown yet, but massive.
Oh, well,
I need to learn, I just appreciate them in the aquarium. And even though I love my Silver Arowana, I don't necessarily recommend a Silver Arowana to every fish keeper, because we've had some challenges that I've had to work out as we've went, but it's been, out of keeping all the fish I've ever kept, this Silver Arowana I love to death, but it is definitely the most stressful fish tank I have ever cared for.
The easiest to care for tank, but also at the same time the most stressful tank.
It's just stressful on me mentally because of so many different things that I've learned that they do that I didn't know. Because all of the times that I've gone to the fish store, they've been tiny. The largemouth bass was an exception because your son went fishing and he caught it, and we brought it home and we kept it. So it wasn't small, but it still needed upgrading of aquariums very quickly. So just know that you have to have a plan for these fish going forward, because that was one of the biggest mistakes. I just assumed that I could just, if the fish store didn't have a 180-gallon tank, I could just order one, no problem. It would be here, and that I would just have my tank. And that is not the case where we live. They looked at me with a look of confusion, and I looked at them with a look of confusion. Like, what do you mean? I need a bigger tank and I'm ready to order it. And yeah, it doesn't work that way. Some places it might. So just know going forward, if you do see something that you absolutely must keep, I'm not going to tell you don't do it, even though I might not recommend it. I'm not going to tell you try it, because it's been difficult. But just, I think one of the largest things is just, you got to have a plan, because they are fast growing. They grow so quickly.
Well, and again, that's the same as the only difference between the arowana and the koi is the koi are growing a lot slower, but when you bought them, they were also very small. Now they're a foot long.
Yeah, they were in the small koi section at PetSmart.
They were 3 or 4 inches long. Now they're a foot long.
Yeah, and we've had them outside in our koi pond. It's a pretty decent sized koi pond, and we've got just a couple, and we have a larger goldfish too, and rosy red minnows galore. But we do keep that one outside all year round, and that was one that I knew they got big. I love goldfish. I've kept goldfish the wrong way and the right way. And I keep them outside in the pond now too. But I'm glad I waited till I had the proper environment, because I love to watch them swim, but they're deceiving when you go in, and they're so small. And they're equally as cute when they're large, but when they're babies, everything is just so much more cute. When they're just so teeny tiny and cute that you just fall in love with them. And then within a year, that tiny little baby is a foot plus long, and you're in a panic because you don't know what you're supposed to do. And I don't want you to fall in love with this beautiful fish. You grow them out, and then you can't keep them because you just didn't know.
Oh, yeah. No, that is a very good point. Mm-hmm. The arowana and the origin story of it is we fell in love with it at the fish store.
Well, you weren't. I called you.
Yes.
It was St. Patrick's Day. Let me think. Was it 2017 or 18?
I believe it was 17.
It was 17. And this is how much I probably should have had someone intervene. Because I walked in. And I had only seen Asian arowana on YouTube. I had never seen a silver arowana in person. Didn't really know nothing. And I walked into our local fish store, and usually our local fish store it's not like the most unique selection. So when I walked in and I saw this thing, one, I thought we weren't supposed to have it, and they were like, no, this one's okay. So that right there should have alerted them that maybe I shouldn't own this fish. But it was in a 10-gallon tank with a black featherfin knifefish. And they were like $100, but you had to buy them together. So I immediately ran outside. And I was like, I have to do whatever I need to do to convince you that this is good. And you're like, sure. And I was like, what? Like, you're not going to tell me no?
I never should have said sure. I never should have said
go
sure.
wild.
Okay.
Sure, go
and
wild.
I had zero clue.
I had no clue.
About either fish.
I had the knife fish at the time was an afterthought. Hindsight, that was the coolest fish that was an amazing fish. And I'll tell you what happened with that in a minute. But I walked in and was like hypnotized. I don't know. I could not see past, like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I'm so excited. And I think maybe at the time the largest tank we had was a 55-gallon,
yes.
But we might not honestly have even got it yet. It was a while ago.
No, we had 155.
Did we have one? But when I checked out, I was so excited to get these fish home. I asked them right now, the only thing that I have ready to go is a 20-gallon long. And they're like, oh, yeah, that'll work for a while. Yeah, you're fine. So I rushed home and started acclimating these two fish, which I knew that arowana in general were a larger fish. But the fact that I didn't know the difference between a silver arowana at the time and an Asian arowana, I mean, it tells you I was oblivious to what I was getting myself into. Was it the best thing ever now since we've gotten to know each other a little bit? Yes. But again, I cannot express to you enough. Just know what you're getting into before you do it. So we were acclimating this silver arowana and this blackfin featherfin knifefish in this 20-gallon long. And I had in my head that this was going to work out for a year. At least. I'll feed it. It'll be okay. I barely had a lid for this 20-gallon long. And if you know anything about silver arowana or just arowana, they are jumping. They are acrobatic.
Notorious jumpers. And that's the next thing.
Catch their
food. If you are going to go with your monster fish, if you got yourself a monster fish, it's
just
like an Oscar or something. Yeah. That's not a jumper. It just can get very large.
Well, any fish has the capability of jumping.
Yes.
And you can lose any fish to jumping.
Are more spontaneous to do it every day.
Well, yeah. And so, like I said, I was like, I'll get a lid. It'll be okay. Like, this is going to be the best thing ever. So, and it worked somehow. I don't know how.
How big was it when you got it?
It was a baby. It was only like 3 to 4 inches, I would say. Both of them were tiny at the time. And of course, in this 20-gallon long, I had too many decorations, and every day it seemed like I would come down here and take something out, give it more swimming room. I would just notice certain things, like it was even starting to jump at that little tiny size. So I got a better lid, like I paid attention, I took it seriously, and we were feeding bloodworms, a lot of frozen bloodworms, a lot of frozen brine shrimp, and I figured out probably a few months into it that they really are, the one we have really like the, is it omega-3? It's veggie rounds, algae wafers, veggie rounds. And so I would feed them no flakes, occasional some maybe like shrimp pellets, just anything that I had that would kind of float, or a frozen food type of thing. And it did not stay in that 20-gallon long very long.
Barely over a month.
Yeah, it was quickly.
It outgrew a 20 long in just about 5 weeks.
Yeah, I can't remember specific like dates like you, but I just know it was a very short period of time that when it was having trouble, it was getting tight turning. Like it would swim down and then it would turn and swim back. When it was getting a little tight like that, I was like, it's time. And then it came in to, how are we going to move this wonderful fish? In this period, we were using the biggest fish net, aquarium net that we could find. It was the extra large green aquarium net. And we had the 55-gallon right next to the 20 long that it was in. So we were only going just maybe a foot over. So I was a nervous wreck, nervous as could be.
And guess who got to net it?
Yeah.
Yay,
yeah.
Me.
And so we, shake it, put your hand over the net the best you can, just move fast, because I was scared. He was probably scared because I was scared.
I was super nervous.
I did not want to see this fish in the floor, because I feel like a lot of people that keep these, because they are so jumpy, like jumpy, you do lose a lot of them. And at going to a show, I've seen a baby Silver Arowana all of a sudden just like jump out of a tank, and everything worked out and everything was okay, but they jump. So I'm already nervous because we've gotten to know each other a tiny bit. It's a couple months into the relationship of keeping this thing, and I've noticed that you just occasionally hear like a on the lid and you're like, oh my gosh. So you rush down and they just jump, because in nature, that's how they jump and catch insects and knock things down in the water. So they are very good jumpers. So then we went to the 20 long to the 55 gallon, and everything worked good for, again, a while, but those 55 gallons are really wider than the 20 long, really. So again, it was growing, but I gave it more swimming room, I thought, but yet at the same time, it really didn't have enough room to turn. So we were kind of starting to panic, because that's when I realized real quickly that this fish was outgrowing this environment. It's not living its best life. I'm stressed out, and we have got to find a larger tank for this thing. So we were looking, and yeah.
Yeah, then it went to a 75 that was wider.
Yep.
And that worked for a while. It's been about 3 to 4 months in the 55.
I don't remember. I think overall,
that's
before
because we were searching for a wider tank.
I think it took about a year from the 20 long till eventually the 180 gallon. And I know we just gradually, as it grew, we searched high and low for a tank. And then when we got our hands on the 180, it was the local fish store had called me, because the local nursing home was upgrading their tank, and they had this 180. And it was not in the best condition, but we were so desperate that we re-siliconed it, we cleaned it up, and it was a nerve-wracking process because we were really good at resiliconing things, but...
And if you want to know more about that, check out another episode. We talk about how to do that. But yes, it was already too tight in the 75. We had jumped from the 55 to the 75. It was too tight in the 75, and we were both in a panic.
Yeah. So the nursing home called. We re-siliconed the tank, and then we waited. I think it was maybe like a week or so. I don't know, honestly. It was a little bit of time to get it all cured, and we were just like praying, don't leak, don't leak, don't leak, please don't leak, don't leak, and everything's good. But that was another stressful time because at this point the Silver Arowana was just too big for a fish net. Yeah. So we ended up using a tote, and I think it was didn't we use like a pond net to kind of put it in the tote, or did we just scoop it into the tote?
We had an actual fish net that you used when you're fishing.
Yeah, that's something like that.
We used a dip net. A dip net that you would use if you were catching large fish like catfish. Mm-hmm. So you have a 3-foot aluminum handle with this really big dip net. Mm-hmm. And we used it to push him to swim into that tote. And then when we got him into that tote, as we brought it up out of the water, was the nerve-wracking moment of both of us were super tense of quick slide the lid on top because there's not very much water in there, and he can just shoot right out of there like a bullet.
Yeah.
And then he's going to be in the floor, and it's going to be crazy, and we're all going to be having a heart attack and trying to get him back into the tub. And
yeah,
it was very, very stressful.
But once we finally got everything moved and him in this, I don't want to move him anytime soon. But again, we're running into the same thing that he's outgrowing this 180-gallon tank. And I was just under the assumption that when the time came, you could call up and donate these fish to an aquarium or something. But you can't do that right now in our area. So we're still on the hunt. So far, everything, he's got room. I assume it's a he. He's turning really well in that aquarium, but we're always looking. It's always kind of the stress of trying to find a bigger tank. And do I love this fish? Have I, over the years of keeping this fish, have gotten to know him and we've bonded a little bit? Yes, but it's just one of those stresses that I thought it was just going to be so easy, and it is not. And when it comes to feeding, I just figured you could toss some pellets in there or some frozen bloodworms, and that's what they lived on. And that's not true. This fish, I know I always say don't overfeed your fish, but this is one that I wouldn't say we overfeed it, but it's got an appetite. It can't just live on a couple little bloodworm things that you toss in and a handful of pellets. It needs to have some substance in its diet, and that can...
It is a predatory fish,
that
requires a very variety of diet.
Yeah,
and
it can
I
get
have
expensive.
fell in love with this fish.
Keeping this, just feeding it can be a stress because it's expensive. It can be really expensive to feed a monster fish.
Absolutely. And when you get into the predatory fish, you're going to be feeding a lot of, and if that turns you off, you're going to be feeding a lot of live foods. Yeah,
I would say there's probably some monster fish out there that you don't have to do that, but there's probably some 100% out there that you do. This Silver Arowana, we feed it live food maybe here and there occasionally, but I'm sure there are ones out there that it's exclusive live food, and there's some out there that you don't have to.
Well,
there's so many different fish that I don't even know what's out there. But yes, you're right. If that's not something that you enjoy, then keeping monster fish, there's and some might, if you like that largemouth bass, it was only used to eat. It was living in a pond. It was a wild largemouth bass. So it's not going to just, I feel like it took a little bit, but there was a point where we were feeding it minnows because that's what it was. It's not used to just a human hand coming over and being like, here's breakfast, you know?
Here's some pellets.
It comes with it. And there's probably fish out there that you can train to come off live food and then it'll be okay. There's just so many different varieties. And just to try to give generic advice for monster fish keepers or someone wanting to keep, it's just expensive. When they're babies, it's not too much, but the tank's expensive. The food's expensive. The filtration that you need, because we do have the Silver Arowana now with a large common pleco. And that pleco was the one that it latched onto that featherfin knife's eye. And it damaged its eye. I called every vet in the state, I think. And some of them laughed at me like, you want what? But it was out of those two tank mates, it was the common pleco. And they need a meaty diet too. And sometimes they compete for food. So you might accidentally overfeed the arowana one night because we're trying to get food to the pleco. So there's just there's so many different challenges. And if you've done your research, you've waited a year and you still want this fish and you know everything that comes with it, then try it. Go for it. Because we do love this monster fish, but it is expensive to keep monster fish with everything that comes with it.
And he's really easy to care for, honestly. And the tank is easy to maintenance and all that.
Yeah.
I got to have some pros to this. And he's wonderful to watch swim, eat. If you do enjoy feeding and live foods, it is a marvelous thing to watch nature in action.
Yeah, it's fantastic, but it's been challenging.
But the downsides are you willing to pay the price for the size of the tanks you need, the setup you need for this fish, and the food that is going to take to keep this monster fish healthy.
Yeah.
Ours eats a very wide variety of diet. Kerri alluded to that. It eats every day, multiple different things from live food to pellets to veggie rounds. It has a wide, great selection from the food pyramid.
Yeah.
And grows very well. And that is, again, the problem.
Yeah. And when he says live food, we don't necessarily go out and scoop minnows anymore. We did at a point. But now he really enjoys grasshoppers and those huge earthworms, mealworms.
Super worms.
We still feed the bloodworms. We still feed a variety of frozen foods, but he's got, I would say, at least 24 inches. It's at least 2 foot long, at least.
He's past that. He's pushing 30. We measured him the other day when our friend was here.
Did you?
Because AJ goes, I would like to really know how long he is. And I said, well, let me get a tape measure real quick because he swims the length of the tank. This is really easy. I'll just stretch the tape measure out. When he goes by, we'll figure it out. Yeah, he's right at 30 inches.
We've put the room that we have this aquarium in has one of the longest walls in the house. So it's in our dining room area. And it's just cute because when you go in there and sit down to eat, or you go in there and sit down in one of the chairs we have in there, he'll just kind of like stop and like just hang out in that corner by you. And then when you get up and move, he'll go over there and kind of, it's just, I don't know. It's just his personality. He's kind of cranky, but he's just really cool. I would say though, he's such a focal point in that room. And so many people that come over here, friends and family, they don't know what an arowana is of any sort. And so the first thing that they do is go up and they tap on the glass, and you're like, please don't. And that, of course, in turn makes them jump. And
Because he believes he's getting ready to get fed.
I guess. I don't know. And sometimes, like, I'll be in another room and I'll just hear splashing. And if you've kept a larger fish, maybe a smaller fish, I guess, I don't know. The guppies don't seem to do this, but you'll just hear this. You just know that he hit the glass. You just know, you learn this sound. And when we first put him in this larger tank, and I would be upstairs doing laundry or just doing household chores, I would hear this and rush in because I am so panicked that I'm going to come in and just see him on the floor, because we have a thick, pretty heavy glass lid on this tank, and it's at the point that he'll jump, I think, just to get our attention, to play. I don't know, just to be like, come feed me again, so I'm going to hit this glass so I know you come in here. And it's moving. It's gotten to the point where even though that glass is pretty heavy and we stacked everything we possibly can, it looks awful, but anything that would act as a good weight to put on this, because whether he's jumping because something startled him, which are, I think, they sound like harder jumps. And usually when something startles him, that's when he scuffs his face or something. It doesn't happen every time, but he has jumped to the point where he's injured a scale or something, and everything's healed up great, but he has injured himself, and he does have the drop eye in one of his eyes. But I would say the biggest startle, because usually when it's a different type of sound, but it's still a fish hitting and you hear a splash.
Yes, it's a splashing
harder
sound.
When something startles him versus he's just trying to, I think in my head, get my attention because he's hungry again. It's still an awful sound to hear when you just don't want that fish to jump. But I was wearing it was almost a red, but it was like a pink fluffy coat. And it was cold outside. And I was doing something, I don't even know what I was doing, but I rounded that corner where that tank is really fast, and I didn't pay any attention. I just walked really fast, and all of a sudden that arowana jumped hard to the point where I thought he knocked himself out. He was kind of he wasn't floating at the bottom, but he went down to the bottom and was kind of, I think, dazed. And so sometimes even just walking past the tank in a certain way can make them jump. They're that jumpy of a fish. When you feed them, my mom, when we were on vacation to Aquashella, working in the Aquashella show, she comes over and feeds them. And that fish, you just move that lid just a little. He knows. It's a smart fish. He knows what you're about to do. He comes over. He's ready to go. He's ready to launch. He's going to jump. He's going to get the food before it touches the water.
Will barely nick the surface of the water, and he's exploding through the water, coming out. And the way I feed him now, I lean up against the tank, scoot the lid just barely, and keep my elbow on top of the glass lid. Because he hits it so hard, you can feel it come up. And it still startles me every time, even though I know it's coming. We know it's
coming. And when my mom came over to feed, you can tell someone 10 times, but until they experience what happens when this fish jumps to feed, you don't visualize it, I guess. And that brand new bottle of pellets, she jumped just as high as that fish jumped, and fish food went. It was raining fish pellets that day in the living room or in the dining room. So just know that sometimes feeding can be maybe even a little extra expensive. But during water changes too, when we try to do maintenance, because larger fish, larger filtration, especially with the pleco, just moving that lid over just a little bit to refill the tank, he'll attack the end of the spigot. And it doesn't hurt. Like, I'm not crying, but it's gotten so big that if it gets your fingers, you'll bleed a little bit. It's a bony tongue fish for a reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, but yet at the same time you're like, dang, you're getting pretty strong. And with the largemouth bass, again, like, I didn't think of it. I've made some mistakes. That fish was awesome. I did not expect to like that fish so much. But tank mates, and with the Silver Arowana too, it can be challenging. You have this huge, beautiful, the biggest tank I've ever had so far. And you can only put like 1 or 2 fish maybe if you're lucky, because they're not compatible. They like their own space. And with that largemouth bass we had, I think it was a cichlid of some sort that someone at the show, it got left behind. So we took it home and we nursed it back together. Had its color back. And again, one of these ideas, cichlid, it's a largemouth bass. They're probably compatible, right? No. That fish got eaten. I came home. All you see is this beautiful yellow tail hanging out of a large, you can't do nothing about it. So just know that that's another factor too, that there might be a tank mate out there for them, but it's going to be hard to find. They're going to already have to be pretty large themselves. So that's another factor. You're going to have to feed another monster fish or a larger fish, and it's just, so you have all this beautiful aquarium and we have like 1 or 2 fish in there, and that's it.
Yeah, if you're looking for a loaded community tank, it's not going to be monster fish. Mm-hmm. They do not, in general, get along with each other. Mm-mm. They are at the top of their little food chain for a reason. Mm-hmm. They are either very big or very predatory for a reason, and they get that way. So you have to be very careful with the things you add into mm-hmm. that tank, or you will make a bunch of mistakes, as we have, mm-hmm. trying to find the right fit mm-hmm. for that tank.
Yeah, I haven't tried anything since that knife fish passed away. I feel like that Silver Arowana has gotten a little bit more aggressive when it comes to feeding time, and the only way I have to go by to know that is just it jumps even harder, and that could be because it's bigger. But I've put so much love and stress into this fish that I don't want to just introduce any fish immediately. So I would want to quarantine this new tank mate, and I don't necessarily have another 180-gallon tank just lying around for a quarantine tank. So I don't want anything introduced. So just know that sometimes if you want to have 1 or 2 fish, it might be a little challenging when it comes to monster fish. It can be done, I'm sure, but me personally, it's been really challenging and I just haven't found anything. And when it comes to filtration too, the tank maintenance can be, you might have to do it more often. We definitely pay more attention to that tank when it comes to water changing than some of the ones down here that are so heavily planted. You just don't have to water change them that much because we can't put live plants in there. We have beneficial bacteria. It does really well. The tank looks good. It's clean. It's clear. But yet we don't have that extra perk of live plants to help us out.
Nope. Between the Pleco and him, they all would get tore up.
Yeah, they don't necessarily, I would say, get eaten, but they get uprooted like every day. So you got to put your hand in that tank. And it's one thing, like I'm already jumpy just to put food in the tank. I'm not too apt to put my hand in there. And then too, I'm not tall enough to stand next to the tank and reach the bottom of that 180.
Yes, you have to use a step stool so you can reach the bottom of the tank.
Yeah. Is there, kind of thinking back, was there anything else kind of challenging or tip, like some good advice, something we could, when it comes to keeping our larger fish that we've kept?
I think the main tip is learn and figure out how you're going to move it. Mm-hmm. From our experience of as they grow, you can start. Ultimately, the best would be to start them in their forever tank.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, if you could have time, find the fish you want to keep if it's a monster fish, if it's a larger fish, and then set up the tank, let it cycle, let it get going, so then you can go ahead and put them right in there. So you don't even have to worry about that, because I love all fish. I really do. Anything I see, I fall in love with. But I know that the monster fish, the larger fish that I have kept, it's not that the tank has been where I'm always having to tweak something. It's just the stress of making sure it stays in the tank and doesn't get hurt. And then when something happens and it does jump, the 1 out of 10 times or whatever it jumps and it does get a scrape, you feel awful. And then sometimes you just feel bad. Like, should I even have this fish? Like, would it been better off with someone else? Or maybe it was, if someone was going to buy it, at least I did take the time to grow up with the fish too. And you have so many different things that go through or maybe it's just me, but it's just been, like you said, it's not that it's harder. It's just been a little bit more stressful because of the worry of trying to make sure it's always okay.
Always okay. And again, learning how to move it, feed it, moving it through those progression stages of its growth factor, and being ready for that, and it's changing diet from when it was little to now its size now. Just understanding and working and learning with that fish, it has made me a much better fish keeper. You let me pretty well do what I want with that tank and take care of that.
That's kind of his fish. I love that Silver Arowana. Like I said, it's been stressful. But I love that fish, but he's definitely kind of taken over. But I guess that incandescent shark that I kept, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I was surprised. I didn't even get it very large. It was still in the juvenile stage, but that fish, it just popped in my head. I was surprised about how many times I would hear that fish just swim into the tank. And it would be like, they would call them, what was it? Glass breakers or head butters or something like that, because they were really darty and they would always swim into it. So that that could crack a tank if that fish was like huge. So there's just different things that, as you keep larger fish, that you encounter that keeping guppies I don't encounter. Does it make it more difficult? No. Everything so far has been okay, but there's been times where, like that largemouth bass, we wanted to upgrade its home and give it more room. So we wanted to move it outside into a tub, and it was, I don't know how long it took for us. You went and bought that. It's a 300-gallon tub at the feed store.
Yeah, 300
We got
gallon
it set up.
tank.
We let it run for a while, and then we moved that fish outside. And I don't know, to this day, I watched that fish all day. Everything was fine. And I went inside to like grab something or do something. I was gone for like 10 minutes. And I don't know if that fish jumped out or if the dog did something, but we were watching your son's dog, which is it was a boxer mix or something, but that dog got sushi that day. And I was so heartbroken because I was trying to do something better and give it a much larger environment, but at the same time we still lost it.
And largemouth bass are known for jumping way out of the water, like a silver arowana. So it could have been as simple as a bug flying over and got close to the water, and
it could have been anything.
And the fish went, "Hey, I can get that," and boom, exploded out of the water.
But that was also the fish that we were keeping when I thought keeping red crayfish. I was like, oh, these red crayfish would go so well with this largemouth bass. I can't wait to get these home. And one made it a couple of days, but the other one, when I dropped it in, didn't even make it to the bottom of the tank. So again, compatibility with tank mates is not always the easiest thing. and sometimes I just don't honestly have the brightest ideas, but I've come a long way, and now that you've gotten bit by the fish bug, it's someone to bounce these crazy ideas off of. But really, I just know when it comes, for me personally, I think the best advice I can give someone that's contemplating monster fish or larger fish, however you want to define it, is just know how much of a commitment it is, because they live a long time if done correctly. They always have the potential to grow large, but sometimes I feel like they don't grow to their full capacity because of something we're doing, and it's not even something we even know. It's just being kept in an aquarium sometimes when they're meant to be in a river.
Yes.
But
and to be the best fish keeper and hobbyist, you are going to have to work with that fish. You cannot stunt that fish. You can't stop it from growing.
No.
It is going to do what it is going to do. You have to learn and adapt with that
just
fish.
know you're going to have a very large aquarium. And if you think it's like, I thought 180 gallons would be plenty, and now again I am wrong. It's 180 gallons is not going to be plenty. Is it plenty at this particular moment? Is he doing okay? Yes. But in another little bit of time, no, we're going. So just the size of the aquariums you need to house these fish, even I can't give you any more advice to be like, just know you need a 55 gallon or a 75 gallon is probably not going to work for something that's going to, well, it's just not going to work for something that's going to get 4 foot plus long. You know, I haven't kept a red-tailed catfish personally, but I have seen some humongous red-tailed catfish.
But we do know people that do.
And a 55-gallon aquarium is it's just not going to work long-term for a forever. It's just not. And I can't express, that's one of the biggest things that you need to make sure you have a plan to keep it. Feeding it when they're babies is really easy. Just a few things will work. But when they're a 3 foot, 2 foot fish, you're going to have to invest in a lot of food. You know, sometimes they eat shrimp from the grocery store too. So, and tank mates, sometimes it can be a challenge. So if a tank that's 180 gallons and one fish is not for you, and you still want a 180 gallon tank, then put a community of peaceful fish in there so you can have fish and live plants, and it's constantly. But if we do fall in love with this Silver Arowana, and it's perfect. I love it. And it just has the pleco and the Silver Arowana. And there's nothing cuter than seeing a monster fish yawn. I'm telling you, the first time I didn't know fish did that, and I was just, it was the cutest thing. They just yawned. I don't know if it was technically a yawn, but it stretched its mouth and it looked like a yawn, and it was absolutely adorable. So there is plenty of perks. There's plenty of enjoyment we get from having this monster fish, the Silver Arowana, and the koi outside too. I love having koi, but just know that it's just a little bit more stress, a little bit more money than having a 10-gallon tank full of guppies. But they're both equally enjoyable. It's just you need to have more of a long-term game plan for larger fish.
Yes. Their lifespan versus the smaller fish seem to be completely different.
Hopefully my son can inherit this. We've done such a good job for so long that this fish will last forever. But also, too, just know that if you do want to keep a Silver Arowana, you do need to invest in a very hefty lid.
Yes. The lid that's on it currently is almost a 1/2-inch thick glass, and he is big enough now to move 1/2-inch glass with his body. So, yeah, when you get to the monster fish, always, all fish can jump, some more than others. That's just their nature. Do your research. You're not going to see a catfish jumping as much as a bass or a silver arowana. But do your research. Make sure you have a good lid on there. And enjoy and grow with your monster fish if you choose to keep said monster fish.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this process, getting to know this fish. And I'm so glad that we went on this adventure together. But it's been challenging. It's been stressful. I'd probably do it again. But I don't necessarily recommend it for the first time fish keeper. Just know that you need a lot of space, a lot of food, you'll do more maintenance if it's because of no plants, but it is 100% enjoyable at the same time. So just do your research, make sure that you give it don't just rush into it, I guess is what I'm saying. Is if you want it, do your research, take the time, set up the environment, and just think about it for a while, because impulse buying a monster fish is not good for you and it's not good for that fish. You don't want to get into something that's over your head and then you're 6 months into it and you have this fish you can't take care of, but you have fallen in love, or something happens because you just didn't know what you were getting into. I don't want someone to be in that situation. So just give it some thought, get everything set up, and then go and buy the monster fish. Don't impulse buy them, even though I did. It's been challenging.
And that's why we're sharing this dilemma now.
But I can't tell you how cute watching that thing yawn is. So hopefully if this has been something that you've been wanting for a while, maybe this gave you something to think about or something that you didn't know. But I just wanted to share the story of our silver arowana and keeping some larger fish this week. So
the pros and the cons and the enjoyability of having bigger, larger fish.
But thank you for listening. And if you want to check out this podcast and watch it, you can go to YouTube and check out ScienceGal Aquatics. The memberships are 99 cents. So, but just thank you so much for listening and being here with us. It's been a fun time. But until next time.
Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.